There's a phrase from third graders that I think very much applies to our collective political landscape right now. And that phrase that contains so much wisdom is, I know you are, but what am I? What does that mean when kids say that? I know you are, but what am I? The wisdom is that kids recognize when other people are projecting. So I call somebody else a name. All right, say, you're a wimp. And then they say, I know you are, but what am I? Because they know inherently that that accusation is coming from a place of my own insecurity. So we do this all the time. We do it as kids. We do it with our partners in relationship, with our friends. Basically, whatever we accuse other people of is typically something that we have inside of ourselves. This is projection. And this is happening all over the place in our political landscape. And it's happening more and more. And I believe that the world is giving us these really beautiful gifts and ways of seeing this projection happening. So, for example, most recently, last week in Biden's debate performance, this showed the spotlight clearly on his cognitive performance and his cognitive fitness. So now there's all sorts of questions, if they weren't there before, about his cognitive fitness. But where does this sound familiar? It was only a few years ago that people were very loudly calling into question Trump's cognitive fitness. And in fact, at one point, the cries were so loud that Trump actually took a cognitive test. So here we have an example of one side making an accusation, and the world has this really, really interesting way of flipping the script, almost as if she's writing a satirical screenplay where first we accuse someone else of being something, and then it turns out that we are that thing. Now, the beauty of satire is that it uses humor to help bring our awareness to something. So we're able to see something that we couldn't see before through a humorous way. We're able to identify or touch something that was maybe in our subconscious. And that's why humor is funny, because it brings out truth. So, and there's so many examples of this happening. So again, that was one example. Another example would be the accusation and the worry and the legitimate worry over and over that one side is planning or is attempting to subvert democracy. So, of course, the accusation is that Trump, if he were to regain office, and even prior, is subverting democracy. So very fair. No arguments with that. The irony, of course, comes in when we start to observe the ways increasingly over time that maybe the other side is also doing things that calls into question the integrity of how much they're upholding democracy. So, for example, after the last debate, Biden, of course, at least at this moment, is really holding on to power. There are a lot of people that are calling on him to step aside. And so when we look at who really cares about holding power, now we're seeing the scales also being reflected in the other direction. This sort of hypocrisy and irony occurs in so many different situations. One side will accuse the other, or one side will say that we value freedom. And they'll say things like, of course, on the right, don't take our guns away, respect our freedom, don't tell us what to put in our bodies as far as the vaccine, don't tell our kids what to do. But then at the same time, they want government to control what women can do with their bodies. They want to control who can marry who, etc. So there's all sorts of hypocrisy. And really, this comes down to what I believe is our destiny and our path as human beings, which is to start to see our common humanity with one another and our interconnectedness. And the more divided we are, the more polarized we are, the more the world comes up with these almost satirical, funny ways of making us look in the mirror and to see that, oh my gosh, wow, the thing that I've been accusing you of this whole time is actually something that I also have within me. And again, the more polarization that occurs, the more this is going to happen, I believe, and the more the world is calling on us to see our common humanity, to be able to recognize that, be humbled by that, to loosen our grip on our identities and our ideologies and our ego, and to be able to come together, because I believe that our path, our evolutionary destiny, is at least involves some deeper recognition of our interconnectedness.